Spurs tangled with the Grizzlies once again. They made it close, just wasn't enough.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. As you just heard, the Spurs picked up another L on the season, losing to the Grizzlies. I guess not too much of a shocker. Losing in Memphis. Margin wasn't too bad. It's not like they got decimated, so that's a plus. So we're going to be talking about that in a while. But they lost to Memphis 135-129. We're going to be giving some overall thoughts, look at the box numbers, what stands out, what doesn't stand out, what puts a smile on our faces, and then talk about Spurs making history. Let's go and bring in our guest. He is back once again. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, and the man that I heard actually created the whole concept of calendars. How did you do it, Rudy?
One day I was counting 1 to 31, and I couldn't remember what came after that. So I figured, why not do 12 months? We'll do months and then years and all that great stuff.
I heard you're at almost every negotiation peace conference between countries that are, bickering or warring. Is that true?
It's very true. I just recently settled a dispute between the United States and Canada. So
good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, definitely some good stuff there.
I also hear you have a show called Sweep the League, which covers sports. Rudy, we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. All kidding aside, he is Rudy Campos again. Follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League, and he'll be bragging about his show in just a few minutes. Rudy, you know the plan. You know how this goes down. We recap every game following the conclusion. Overall thoughts. Look, the Spurs, Rudy, they made it a close game. And that's what I like about this team. They've been making each and every meeting with one of the league's best Memphis Grizzlies a fight. They took them to overtime in that first meeting. They kept it close in the second meeting. And again, last night, kept it close again, just losing just by single figures and erasing a double-figure deficit. I like what I saw out of San Antonio. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I like what I saw too. I mean, against the Grizzlies, which is one of the better teams in the league, not just the West, they are competing. I mean, the Spurs had the lead at the end of 37-32, but then that second quarter, Memphis just blew it open. But credit to the Spurs, man. They stuck with it. They came back in the second half, actually had a better fourth quarter than they've had probably all year.
Yeah. We're going to have to put this on loop. Play 48 minutes. And that's been the story of the Spurs season so far. Is they need to play 48 minutes. They have not put together a complete game of late. Maybe against Detroit. You got something close to it. But again, that's what's been biting this Spurs team a lot this season. And really, got to tell you, in my opinion, I think this just goes back to growing pains. This team learning to play 48 minutes. You said it before. I've said it before. Everybody's been saying it this season. They got to learn. And this was another learning lesson for this team, Rudy.
Yeah, it was, and surprisingly, the one quarter they struggled is the one quarter that they've had success all year, and that's the second quarter. I mean, normally their struggles are in the fourth quarter. They were actually really good in the fourth quarter, but it is development. I mean, it's a development of the team. Just think about it. There is a G League. The entire Spurs roster is pretty much on G League level right now. They're in development. It's going to take a little bit of time, probably another year or two before you see them actually turn the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you see little signs of development. What I saw is Sohan leading the team to open up the game in that first period, and leading the way to get the Spurs going. Then you see Keldon Johnson take over from that point, moving on, really looking good. He was doubtful to start the game. He ended up making it. And for him to come out and do the performance he did, double figure scoring, was pretty good. But, this is where the Spurs need a mega star, that superstar. And Ja Morant just put one on San Antonio, didn't he?
Yeah, and, that's what we kind of talked about the last game. If Ja played, it would have probably been a pretty good blowout for the Memphis Grizzlies. But you saw what happens tonight when you don't have a superstar. I mean, you need a guy to take over the game. Ja Morant took over the game for Memphis, finished with 38 points. Just very unstoppable. But you know what? Credit to the Spurs. The Spurs aren't the only team that haven't been able to stop him. Not many teams have. So definitely shows why the Spurs need a superstar at some point in their franchise right now.
And that's why they got to right that tank, Rudy. They yay, got an L. So for Team Tank, they're happy about tonight's loss. But yeah, I mean, that game just showed that star power usually, not all the time, but usually does win in the NBA. Grizzlies have one. Spurs are seeking one or hoping one of these young guys will turn into a star. And I look at last night's game, and again, love the competitiveness. You brought up a good point. After the Spurs just got kicked to the curb in that second period, they really rallied in the second half. Really made things a game. It makes me wonder: did the Spurs come back, or did Memphis take the foot off the gas pedal? I want to lean towards that the Spurs came back because they've made games competitive against Memphis this season. As mentioned, that first game, they took them to overtime. And last night, you saw the same situation, really putting the fear in a team that many think could have a deep postseason run, Rudy.
Yeah, and credit to the Spurs. I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of positives to talk about them all year, but in this games against the Memphis Grizzlies, they played them tough throughout the entire game. They were down, coming after halftime, but they fought back. They played really, really well. Credit to the Spurs, but it came up short, and it's kind of what's going to happen throughout the season. I mean, we said at the beginning of the year it's going to happen very often. They're going to come up short a lot of games, but you like the competitiveness you see out of them.
Yeah, and look, this is a team, Spurs. They took on a team, Memphis, that is just bigger than them. You look at Jaren Jackson, you look at Steven Adams. Shocking, the Spurs got out-rebounded by Memphis, but that's one of Memphis's strong suits. But I like about the Spurs is they stuck to what gets them, competitive or they pick up those rare wins. They got on the fast break. They actually scored more points in the fast break over Memphis. Again, we'll get into those numbers later on. And actually beat Memphis in points in the paint, not by much, but by 2. So they were competitive in what makes Memphis strong. Another positive out of a L, Rudy.
Yeah, Memphis is very tough. Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams in the paint, they usually dominate the paint against most teams. Also, got to remember Zaire Williams as well. I mean, they've got really good big men down there. Spurs should do a really good job in the paint. One thing that stood up tremendously was the assists that they had against Memphis. Yeah. 19 for Memphis, 33 for the Spurs. Only player on the roster tonight for the Spurs not to record an assist is Jakob Poeltl. So that shows a lot.
Yeah, is he still around though? Is he still alive? Because John Morant put one on him during the game.
I think he's still okay. He's not a Kevin Love, who's already been posterized almost twice by John Morant.
Yeah, I saw that dunk by Morant, and I was like, ouch. Even me, covers the Spurs. You cover the Spurs. I had to sit back and be like, whoa, that was pretty nasty. But as they say, as I hear what the big men say in the NBA, if you're not getting posterized, that means you're not trying to block those shots. So, yay, Poeltl. He was 27 years old. Funeral services will be later on. Yeah, there you go. But all right, we're going to look at some box score numbers now in just a few seconds. We're recapping the Spurs loss to the Memphis Grizzlies last night, 135, to 129 out in Memphis. And yeah, what stands out when Rudy looks at that box score? Is there anything that puts a smile on his face? I think he's already revealed one. Perhaps there's another one in just a few seconds. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about Built Bar. Look, if you're looking for a delicious treat, you don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try a Built Bar. Look, we just got through the holidays, and I know, look, one of your goals could be eating a little healthier this year. And if you're like me and you want to eat healthier, but you don't want to compromise taste, then we got something for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're delicious. You won't even think they're good for you. They're perfect for your New Year's resolution. And what makes Built Bars so good, well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors such as churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure, how Built does it. But these Built Bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Check this out. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, a whopping 17 grams of protein. And you don't need to wait around anymore to get a box. For years, they've been talking about ordering Built Bars from Built.com. Well, now you can go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club to get them. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And if you're close to a Sam's Club, run in, grab yourself a 13-bar box with our hit flavors such as brownie, batter, churro. Look, you can thank me later.
Autobots, roll out.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League and the only man that has posterized John Morant. How about that? Way to go, Rudy.
Easily. Jaw's got nothing on me. I've got a.
Well, you got the size advantage. You got the heft to bump him out of the way.
Nobody can block my shot on a 5-foot rim, so I dare to.
What about a Nerf rim?
Oh man, those were fun, weren't they? Nobody can block me on a Nerf rim either.
Those are fun. I mean, everybody just practically traveled. You just played bully ball to get to the rim in Nerf.
Those arch rivals. Remember that game?
Oh yes. Remember the Nerf that had the electronic scorekeeping, that little like pedal that will go through. Yeah. Those are the best. That's when you knew as a kid, you were going to be.
You made it in life.
You made it, and you're going to be the popular kid that everybody's going to want to come over and check out their Nerf hoop with electronic features. All right, let's go ahead and look at the box score. Now, Rudy, you already said you love the assists, 33 assists. I got to agree with you. The Spurs, that's what got them, going to start the season. Remember, they were leading the league in assists per game, really sharing the ball. The whole talk was, this is how the Spurs are going to do it. They're going to have to share the ball. And at least versus Memphis last night, they did that, out assisting Memphis. But it just wasn't a complete game in that respect. Now, credit them again. 33 assists is really, really good. But what they lacked is another big lack, or deficit in this team is consistent three-point shooting. Yes, I know they got Doug McDermott. Yes, I know they have other sharpshooters. They got Malachi Branham. He can knock them down too. But on the opposite end, Rudy, you got Memphis, who just rained those threes for a good chunk of the game. They connected on 14. The Spurs connected on 11, but it wasn't really that close in the three-point department throughout the game, was it, Rudy?
No, it really wasn't. I mean, if you look at the total shots, it was 34 shots for the Spurs, 22 from Memphis. I mean, Memphis shot 61 or 63% from three-point range, while the Spurs only shot 32. Shooting 32% from three-point range is really going to get you a win on some nights. I mean, it's actually a pretty good percentage for three-point range. But you know what? When you miss a lot more, you're going to get a lot more defensive rebounds, more opportunities for the other team to run, get on the fast break. And, it's kind of what Memphis does. They're a fast break team. When they have to play the half-court game, you've got guys like Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks that are great shooters. So it kind of plays into it, for Memphis as well. But, the shooting is not very good for the San Antonio Spurs. I know you got Doug McDermott and a couple other guys, but it's got to be consistent throughout the whole team.
Right. 32% shooting for the game from the three line, 61% actually from the three line for Memphis. But again, the Grizzlies took fewer threes, but connected on more than the Spurs. And look, the Spurs, they're not known for three-point shooting. And what really gets them W's is sharing the ball, which they did. Look, we're not saying they did not do that. Rudy brought that up. But it was just getting out rebounded. Getting just shellacked in the second quarter. And that's going to put a frown on my face. I'll tell you that right now. 44 points by Memphis in the second period alone to Spurs 25. At one point, Memphis opened that quarter on a 22-7 run. I mean, at that point, I thought the game was over. I said, well, pack it up. It's over. But again, as you said, credit the Spurs, they didn't make a rally in the second half. One thing that stands out for me, Rudy, when I look at the box score, is points in the paint. I mentioned it in the first segment. I'll bring it up again. 70 points for the Spurs to Memphis's 68. Now, yes, it was close, but I like that because I really thought that's where the Spurs were going to get just beat and was going to lend to a Memphis win. And it didn't come down to that. So credit the Spurs, Rudy.
Yeah, the Spurs did a really good job in the paint. I mean, Jakob finished with 17. I mean, they were getting to the basket, getting to the rim, making it difficult for Memphis. And I think before the last Memphis game, we kind of previewed it, and we both said that if they were able to attack the big guys like Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams, it would definitely hurt Memphis. And you saw it tonight. But the points in the paint, I mean, Spurs had a great advantage of that. You got to give them, 100% credit on that. So good job on the Spurs by that.
What else stands out for you when you look at the box score?
Oh, man, box score. You know me, I don't want to bring him up, so I'm not going to. We're going to say Mr. Consistent was consistent again tonight, but there was one player in particular, and that was Zach Collins, man. I mean, 14 points, 12 boards, 4 assists. He kind of put a little bit of everything in the stat with the exception of not having to steal. But what I looked at was the minutes. He only did that in 22 minutes. So I really like what he did tonight. He was one of the reasons why, they were getting a lot of points in the paint. So credit to Zach Collins tonight. Really good job. 14 points, 12 boards, double-double. Good job, Zach.
Yeah. What I also like when I look at the box score is the bench production. Spurs 52 to Memphis's 40. So the Spurs second unit came in. So again, another spot or shining light that you can highlight in the Spurs loss is that second unit. And for some time throughout the season, we've been seeing that the second unit keeping the team in games. We saw that last night versus Memphis. We've seen that a couple of times throughout the season. But again, it's just those little things. A bad shot here, a turnover there. Memphis nails a three, and the momentum swings their way. And then just like that, it's 6-10 point lead for Memphis. That's just been the way the Spurs team has been playing this season. What they've been on the receiving end as far as L's this season, more often than not, is just those turnovers, those costly turnovers. We saw that in that first meeting in Memphis a couple of days ago, where the Spurs had a chance to win. But you see Malachi Brandon cough the ball up. We saw that again last night a couple of times throughout the game. I got to ask you, Rudy, Are you more? I'll ask you the same question that I thought about in the first segment. Do you think Memphis took their foot off the gas pedal, or the Spurs, really threatened the Grizzlies in these last two games versus Memphis?
Honestly, I mean, if it was one game where the Spurs were really close in it, I'd say, Memphis, kind of took their foot off the pedal and stuff. But I like that the Spurs have competed. I'm going to say it's more of the Spurs. I mean, they've competed well against Memphis in every single game they've played them so far. They've kept it close. One of them went to overtime. I think it's more of the Spurs are able to match up with the Memphis Grizzlies a lot better. It kind of shows because Memphis is a young team and they've got a really good team. Like I said, they're one of the best teams in the league and not only the West. But I think the Spurs match up really, really well with them. So it's more of the Spurs playing very well against Memphis. And Memphis just has a problem with the San Antonio Spurs. They're not able to pull away like they are against other teams.
Yeah. Again, a great competitive night for San Antonio, but again, it just wasn't enough. But hey, Rudy, that's one step closer to Wemby or Scoot. So thumbs up.
It's thumbs up in a small way. I'm really torn on the whole Wemby thing. I've given my opinion a lot on it, and I get a lot of, thrashings for it. But I guess, people think differently, and I'm one of those people that think differently on the whole thing.
Yeah. One other thing I want to highlight from the game is you're seeing, you mentioned Trey Jones again being consistent, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, hit a couple of threes. So, yay, that's a good sign because that's one of the weaknesses right now. Josh Richardson upped his trade value, Rudy, 12 points off that bench. Doug McDermott, 15 points off the bench with trade stock rising. I like that. So all in all, it was just a really, really good game from that second unit. And maybe, just maybe, with the trade deadline right around the corner, hopefully all you other opposing teams that want to make a deal with the Spurs saw what Josh and Doug can do. I'm still torn on Jakob. There's a part of me that doesn't want to see him get traded, Rudy.
No, and that's, I've been on the whole don't trade Jakob bandwagon right now because you're not guaranteed Wembayama. And if you're not guaranteed Wembayama and you trade Jakob Poeltl, then what are you doing? You have no center outside of Zach Collins. And I think keeping Jakob for this year and going into the offseason, seeing how the draft shakes out is probably the best thing for the Spurs to do. Right now, I think if I'm trading anybody, it's Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson, and that's really honestly about it right now that I can think of.
Yeah, exactly. Keldon Johnson was leading the Spurs with 24 points and 3 assists and 4 rebounds, as Rudy mentioned. Jakob Poeltl with 17 points and 12 rebounds. Trey Jones, a second leading scorer again with 22 points. The Spurs on the 3-game losing streak and will next host the Warriors in the big, much anticipated Alamo Dome game. By the way, the Spurs made history Yes, they did during the game versus Memphis. We're going to talk about that in just a few seconds with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Look, as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences that help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond the resume data by using insights from your job post company and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Here's what you got to do. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Autobots, roll out.
You're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Sweep the League. And Rudy, I hear you're going to be at the Alamo Dome tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be there. Right now, I will be there.
Uh-oh. What does that mean? Is there a chance Rudy Campos will not be at the old stomping grounds?
There is a small chance that I won't be there, but
no.
It plays out. It just depends on if I can get up there. So it's work related. So that's what it comes down to.
Well, hopefully your boss is listening to this and give Rudy the rest of the day off tomorrow because they're going to need his body in that seat or standing up for the whole game. Rudy, during the Memphis game, the Spurs announced that they have officially, well, they're in the history books. They have sold a record, NBA record, 63,592 tickets sold for tomorrow's game at the Dome, which breaks the all-time NBA single regular season game attendance record held between the Bulls and the Hawks way back when in the 90s. Congratulations, Spurs. Rudy, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, you just said it. Congratulations, Spurs. I mean, they're breaking the NBA regular season record. I think the NBA record total was like 65,000. So imagine how close they are coming to that. Mm-hmm. Man, it's going to be rocking. I'm hoping the Dome is nailed down to the concrete even more because it's probably going to be rocking and moving. Maybe NFL fans remember Seattle back in the day when they had that minor earthquake or something because Marshawn Lynch ran the ball beast mode and it was like on the Richter scale. I hope it was something that the Spurs fans can do and just rock that Dome like it's back in the 90s, man.
Absolutely. Now, the Spurs broke the record, but they have a chance to just shatter it and make it almost impossible to get moving forward. Uh-huh. So, the max capacity, I think you highlighted right now, Rudy, 65,000 seats. So the Spurs still have tickets to do that. But let's just project out that between now and then, they do that. They can increase it up to 68,000 because they'll have 3,000 standing room only tickets available to sell. 68,000. You think the Spurs can do it by game time tomorrow?
Ooh.
I know that's tough.
You know what? I think they can. I really do think they can. And you know what? It's going to take a lot of businesses to come in and buy some of these tickets, which I really believe they can do. So I think the entire NBA record for attendance will be shattered come tomorrow night.
Yeah. I heard that business is Sweep the League, though. That Sweep the League is going to reach them to 68,000. Good job, Rudy. Way to go.
Yeah, we purchased about 5 or 6 of those. So.
Yeah, again, kudos to the Spurs. You know, it's not just a game. There's going to be pregame activities. So get this: the parking at the Dome begins at 11:30 a.m. Yeah, 11:30 a.m. You're in San Antonio. The park and ride for those that are in San Antonio or just going to the game in general begins at 2:30 p.m. You can pick that up at the Crossroads Mall area or at the AT&T Center, and there'll be tailgating type style events before the doors open at 6:30. So you're strongly urged to get there early because the last thing you want to deal with is headaches of finding parking if you take your own car, traffic, getting into downtown. Rudy, you know how bad it can be when heading to a big event in downtown San Antonio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you and I know because we used to cruise the streets on Saturday night at Commerce Street. We know how bad San
Damn
Antonio
right.
can be.
What do you think? You think it's going to be a good night? You win or lose?
It's going to be a great night. Whether they win or lose, it doesn't matter. Whether the water cannon goes off or doesn't, it's going to be a fantastic night. San Antonio is going to be rocking at least for one night. So fans, going out there, enjoy it. If you see me out there, say hi, say what's up. You know, if you want to, buy me a hot dog, I can't eat it, but we'll definitely figure something out for it.
I'll eat it. Buy it for Rudy, and then give it to Rudy, and then Rudy, you give it to me, and then I'll say Rudy loved it if he had eaten it. I'm starting to have memories of the dome now. I remember the steps, the stairs to go to the next levels, like each and every level, the wide stairs. I remember just like how wide the halls are. So the AT&T Center can be a little narrow, but I remember they're wide, because that's just staying on the second level. They're wide spaces. You always talk about how steep the seats are, so that's gonna be fun to revisit again. Rudy's gonna be looking like an old man grabbing onto the hand railing. Like, don't rush me, son. Don't rush me, sonny.
Yeah, both hands I'm hanging on to the railing. Both hands.
Get you, Rudy. Rudy, you got to show up. San Antonio needs you there.
I like I said, as of right now, I am definitely planning to be there. If work gets in the way, maybe I can make the second half of anything. But definitely I'm planning to be there.
We'll definitely take that. Once again, congratulations, Spurs, for breaking the record. Now, hopefully you can shatter it. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about last night's Spurs loss in Memphis? Likes, dislikes, some things we didn't highlight, some things you disagree with. Let Rudy know on Twitter at Sweep the League. And what do you think about the game tomorrow night at the Alamo Dome? Are you excited? Are you going? What are you looking forward to the most? Is it seeing the old barges from the 99 championship River Parade in displayed? Is it the tailgating? Is checking to see if Rudy Campos will be there? We need to hear from you. Rudy, tell us all about Sweep the League.
Yeah, Sweep the League. We're dropping episodes every single Sunday night, so be sure to catch it wherever podcasts are available. And I can never leave without giving you guys some former Spurs players celebrating the 50th anniversary. So for those that don't know, Mike D'Antoni was a Spurs player at one point. I know you know him as a great, illustrious coaching career. Ed Neely, he's a car salesman here in San Antonio. At least he was. He used to be a former San Antonio Spur. Can't forget Trent Tucker, another guy that we forgot about. Austin Crozier, Maurice Cheeks.
Oh my
and one name that I looked up, I have to practice it because I looked it up. I knew he was a Spur. When Nicholas Laprovitola.
Argentinian kid, right?
That one. No. I think he's Italian. If I can't remember right, I think he's Italian.
I thought he was an Argentinian guy. But you mentioned Mo Cheeks. Remember Mo Cheeks hated being traded to San Antonio? Like he just despised it.
Oh God, that's when he started making that face, like that smell the fart face, man. Exactly when he got traded to San Antonio.
Yeah, he wasn't a happy camper. I think there was a rumor back in the day that he was so upset he got traded to San Antonio, he never found a place to stay at. He just stayed at the airport hotel. And that's like legit. Like he stayed at the airport hotel. He didn't find an apartment. He didn't rent a house, whatever. He just stayed at the airport hotel because he was so certain he wanted to get out of there. But it turned to Rod Strickland. And Strick was a pretty good. I always wonder where he ranks among point guards in San Antonio history. I know the behind the back pass is still.
That is the one thing that keeps him from being like an all-time Spur is the behind the back pass against Portland that cost us the final.
What? He ended up going to Portland, right? Didn't the Spurs trade him or resign as a free agent? That was his next stop.
Yeah. I think it was Portland because he was a Knick before the Spurs. So, it was Knicks, Spurs. I think Portland was the next one. So, he behind the back pass to Portland to get moved to Portland. So, I guess congrats, Rod.
I think he says that he thought that Elliott was cutting. And I think if you look at the replay, it's like the Zapruder film. You look back, you see Elliott kind of halting in a hurry and trying his best to come back. That was
when I interviewed Sean Elliott, I wanted to ask him that question, but I just held back and I didn't. I don't know if that's still a bad memory for him.
If I see him, I'm going to bring it up. I think I'll do it.
You do that. You got more badges and honors than I do. So.
All right. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. Second listen, check out Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, just like Locked On Spurs. Also available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart. Yeah, you pick a platform, we are there. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're putting a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.